Hi. Hello. Howdy. This is a bit of a new video for me. Um, Today we'll be setting up the bullet journal I will be using for at least like the first chunk of 2026. You can see I'm setting up the first couple pages. I'm doing what is now a classic of taking the two pages at the front that are like kind of attached to each other and making it a pocket. And you'll see it later, but I'm putting my key for all my different symbols and the like in that pocket. It's a pretty simple start to it. I'll just have my cover page on the other side. While I'm doing that, I can talk about what this journal is. It is a paperage graph paper notebook. It's the lilac color. I just got it off of Amazon because I've used this for both like a personal journal and a sketchbook so far. They're pretty decent quality for the price they are because they're like $10. I quite frankly am not buying these journals because they're the epitome of quality or anything, but because they're like the best bang for my buck. I wanted to go with a graph paper journal because I have never really super been into dotted pages. I'd be open to the idea, but I found that I'd have a love for graph paper. Not sure exactly why, but who knows. I used to have a sketchbook that was graph paper, and honestly, I think it was from Artist Loft, and they don't sell it anymore, and I'm really sad about that, because that was kind of like peak. That was the first sketchbook I ever like fully finished. For this front pocket, you can see I'm using a couple of these green and purple washi tapes along with these small purple sticky notes. I'm going for like a patchwork design on the pocket just because I thought it would be fun to warm up with some collage-y elements. For this whole setup video, you will see the running theme of purple and green. That was my theme. I do like to match the like yearly setups or like base setups of my journals and things with at least like the color of the notebook. I'm not like super strict about it, but I am now starting on my yearly 2026 little cover page right now. This is based off of a font I found on Pinterest that I thought was really cute. You will be sick of seeing it by the end of this video. I'm also pulling in these leaf washi tapes. Those are from Michaels. I can't promise you they're still available, but I use them a lot in everything. So if I can find them, I'll link them in the description, along with a couple of the other supplies I'm using. Of other supplies, since I know that is a question people tend to ask, and I cannot trust that I will remember to do it in the description. I'm using for the lilac-y purple and darker purple, those are just Crayola Super Tips. I think it's the like 20 pack, so not one of the huge ones. A lot of the markers I'm using are Crayola Super Tips, and I think I bring in the light purple and the gray zebra Mildliners in as well. The pen I'm using right now is a Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen. I prefer the hard tip of the two of them. I can't quite tell in this footage which one I'm using, but it's probably the hard tip because that is my favorite pen. I will also periodically start using these little decorative stickers that I got in a like massive pack at some point. I think they're meant for decorating K-pop photo cards, but I've been using them in my journal because they're good space fillers. There's quite a bit going on this double page spread. What I'm filling in right now is my When Did I Last, which is a thing a lot of people will use for stuff you don't do super often. I mostly use it for like, when was the last time I went to the dentist? When was the last time I got new glasses, kind of a thing, because I never remember when I last did that. But it can be useful when I'm flipping back through old planners and things. Underneath that, I believe... Underneath that is a very, very simple, like, future log. I just have a column where I write the date and what is on that date, because as I will go up and set this up, I'm setting up like a couple months at a time, certainly, because I know I will not get around to doing a setup every month. But I know that, like, once I get the dates for, like, the second half of the year as a college student, like, when's the first day of classes, when are all of those, I can go in and put that in there. The left page is my goal page. This has not changed between so many planners and journals. The only thing that has changed really is the color palette. I pretty much just do a number along the left-hand side, do a second line highlight with the Crayola Colors of the Worlds markers, and just write a handful of goals. I never do anything super, super serious. Most of my goals are just like mini projects I'm working on. This past year, I did Pasta Quest, which comes from a Tumblr post, which is legitimately just trying as many different types of pasta as you can in 1 year. And I have eaten a lot of pasta this year, even more than I usually do. So that's a fun one. I think for 2026, one of my goals is going to be to listen to more music, like different types of music. I can definitely become a creature of habit, but I do like that variety, and I find that when I get that variety, I then find like a handful of new artists or albums that I then proceed to listen to until I can't bear the thought of listening to them anymore. And I've kind of gone through quite a few the past couple years where I think I need to branch out my listening a bit. I'm not quite sure what other goals I will have. I might make a video about goal setting, but like, who knows? I don't know if I would be able to like make that and edit that in a timely manner with some of the other videos I have planned to do. We'll just have to see what happens. This next spread is... Oh, I just gave away that I actually did the back of this before I did the front of this, but that doesn't make sense for a YouTube video. This is my semester tracker, where on the right-hand side I have this like time grid that I know a lot of people use to plan out like time management things. I do it to track when I have my classes, and then on the left side I have blocks of the information about those classes, and at the very bottom I have like the class, the midterm, the final grade, and like my GPA and how far I am through my degree. I find actually the most helpful part of this is that I end up just writing down my classes in my class time and where I'm having them so many times throughout doing this spread and setting up a planner that it just embeds it into my brain, and I don't have to worry about forgetting about any of my classes. A bit of a spoiler, I do like to color code on my monthly spreads with like my monthly calendar. I do really like to just do a simple highlight and write the course code, I think is technically what we call them, so I know what days I have what classes, because as an art student most of mine are Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, long studio classes, so once I memorize them it's a pretty easy rhythm to get back into. We're now time traveling back in time to the back of this notebook, because there are some spreads that I have found are much better at the beginning of a journal, and there are plenty that are much better at the end, so I don't have to worry as much, because I find it easier to just flip to the back than it is to flip to the front, but that could just be my biases. I'm doing a spacing grid guide. That's this page that I'm setting up, which was the longest sketch setup time, because math is hard. I'm not even particularly bad at math. My brain just is bad at remembering basic things. So I have... If you are newer to bullet journal guides and bullet journaling content. To explain a bit more on what a grid spacing guide is, I'm essentially going through and adding lines, separating it into like halves, thirds, fourths, sevenths, things like that. Basic spacing I would need throughout setting up like weeklies, monthlies, stuff like that. So that way I don't have to go in and individually count that a bunch. I can just go and be like, oh, the halfway mark is like 18 or whatever it is, and just go to 18 and just draw the line there. I don't have to do a bunch of counting and figure out all of the dimensions I need every single time I set up anything, ever. It is a behemoth of a spread to do when setting up a journal, but it is just so worth it in the end. This next spread I'm setting up is my finance tracker, so this will be the last time you ever see it, because I don't want that information online. But it's essentially these little boxes for each month of the year where I put like how much money I had in my bank account in the beginning, at the end, how much money went out, how much money came in. I believe I even added a savings part at the bottom. I have not started working like a traditional job yet. Trying to work a job when you are specifically an art student is very hard, and especially with this job market, I just haven't gotten any responses at all from any job application I have put in, but I do want to get into the habit of being aware of my finances. So this is the same tracker I had in my planner for 2025. It worked pretty well, so I'm gonna keep it. It's one of those things that isn't even so much helpful for me in the moment, but can be much more helpful looking back on it in like a year, or for like future reference. It's also just kind of a really fun spread to set up, because it's very simple. It's cubes, a title at the top, and then like putting everything in its right place when you write it, which I definitely did not do. Never look too closely at any of the words on these pages. If there's like a list where it's like this thing and then this thing, because I definitely did something wrong on at least one time a spread. But that is just the joy that comes with setting up your own things. It's kind of funny to look back on. Yeah, as you can see, I'm going in, erasing my sketches. Yeah, I'm going in and color coding the tops just to have a little extra pop of color. Even though kind of this is a very bright and colorful setup, which tends to be more where I lean. My art is also, I've always described it as retina scorching, so it's not really too much of a surprise that I love my color and my spreads as well. We're now on to a different spread for my media tracking, because I do like to track, like, the movies, books, etc. that I watched and read during the year. This top chunk is for my live theater tracking, just because I've gone to so many shows in this past year. I went to as many, like, live theater plays, musicals in 2025 as I did reading in 2024, because I didn't read very much this past year, but I sure did go to a lot of plays and musicals. There are benefits to being on a college campus where you get student discounts, and there's, like, free student productions every, like, at least once a month. In the bottom portion is my YouTube content related tracking things. One of these days I'll figure out what to call this. I just have it titled YouTube, I think. The left side I have the chunk of the things where it's like subscribers, watch hours, and the percent I am to becoming monetized. The left rectangle will have where I am at the beginning of 2026, and the right side will have where I am at the end. I highly doubt I will be monetized by the end of the year, but I do want to, like, post more content. I've definitely done better about it this past year than I have years prior, but it is a learning curve for sure, especially when you're doing other things, and this is kind of just like a little hobby thing, and if I end up making money on it, great. If not, also perfectly fine. This is a creative outlet for me more than anything. The left side is a blank page that I'm leaving blank on purpose, because I pretty consistently will run out of room in one of my media trackers. It's usually the movies TV one, just because I watch a lot of movies. I don't watch as much TV, but that tends to be the one that takes up the most space. So I have just some sticky notes that I forget what I ended up writing on there, but that's a blank page for me to fill out later. You can very much tell with this second half of the notebook that I love a good second line highlight. I don't remember who it was on here that I first saw doing it, because obviously a lot of people in the journaling and bullet journaling community love a good second line highlight. And I do too. I am just like every other girl. I should mention that I believe this is the lighter one I was using earlier is light almond. And I believe that this one is the light medium golden or something, or it might just be light golden. I'm not 100% sure. For the live theater tracker up there, I don't think I mentioned this previously. The 3 columns are the date, the show, and the star rating. I tend to not even put in star ratings for the theater I go see. I just don't tend to. But if I want to, it's there. This next section is the books and movies tracker. Because I had to very much make the reading tracker much, much smaller, because I allocated a full page for it in 2025, and I think by the end of the year I will have read a whopping 6 books, 4 of which were graphic novels. So, one of which was a reread and another one I had to read for a class. So I just haven't been reading as much this year. Not sure why. I do know a lot of people tend to fall off with reading when they're in school and in college, because even in art classes they make you read things, and if I have to read, I don't tend to read in my free time. But how I have this page set up is for movie theater 1, I tend to do the date I watched it, the title, the director, and the star rating on the 3rd column. For the reading, it's the date I started, date I ended. I allocate 2 blocks for it. The title and the author in the 2nd column, and then the star rating in the 3rd. And one of the pros of a graph, or I guess also a dotted notebook, is I just allocate 5 little slots, and I just do a star in each. Although I have been considering getting one of those star rating stamps, because I have drawn a lot of stars in this past year, and I'm getting a little tired of it, so I might, if I have the random extra cash to spend, or I want to support like a small business or something, maybe I'll go in and get one of those, because it is, you would not believe how much you end up accidentally getting hand cramps, hand drawing things, which, yes, like, very much first world problems, but I don't know. I'm a professional complainer. Why do you think I like YouTube so much? For the titles that I've done on a lot of these past spreads, I tend to do this little collage-y bit with the washi tapes and then put the glue on the titles over top. I just had some scrap computer paper. I did them on. It also helped that I think there was at least one or two where they looked a little ugly the first time I did them, so I got to do them again without it being a hassle. The glue stick I was using, however, is so old, and I've had to go in and re-glue so many of these. So, if any of you noticed just how old that glue stick was, no, it was barely functioning. I did use up, I think, a whole glue stick for this setup, which... woo, I guess? I have also been where I have these, like, outlined with the green and the purple. Those are both Mildliners, I believe. And I'm going in with the gray Mildliner, aforementioned. You go in and do the lines? Yeah, because I get a lot, like 2 rows for each of these. I've been alternating between the purple and green, like, outlining boxes and things, just to have that, because when you sticking with a very, very strict color palette, you have to find ways to, like, alternate between the two, otherwise it would be so much purple. It would be so much purple. There is already so much purple, and it would be even more purple. This last spread we are doing is the fall semester version of the spring semester setup. It is exactly the same as the one in the beginning, but for the fall instead. So, enjoy watching that. While you're watching this repeat spread, if you would like to, you should tell me in the comments what you're doing for your 2026 planning system. If you're using a pre-printed planner, if you're bullet journaling, if you're like me and you're bullet journaling for the first time, just whatever you want. I don't know. I like chatting with people in comments. we will now be entering the flip-through portion, where you can see a couple of the things that I didn't include, like the nameplate where I tend to put contact information in case this gets lost, some close-up shots here and there. In general, I actually quite like this theme. For like my first time properly setting up a bullet journal, I think I did pretty well, especially since these are the pages that I've already done in previous planners. I tended to get the ones that had some pages in the back that I could put things like this in. You will also note that the back page by the pocket has a place for me to write whatever stickers I put on the cover. Yeah, that was all. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you wanna, and I hope to see you in my future setup videos, if you like.